Alright, hello. Welcome to Wire Wednesday number 25 on a Thursday. I'm sorry I'm a day late. Right as I was going to go live yesterday, a doctor called looking for a case. Some of y'all know how that is, and I had to track it down. So that's one reason why it's hard to do live stream and scheduling and running your own lab at the same time. But thanks for hanging out with me and dealing with me and helping me out. So I'm going to wait for a few people to come aboard and then we'll get started. I'm going to check some cameras here. All right, we got that. That looks good. Okay. So I know I didn't announce this beforehand. Hopefully y'all will get to see all this. Many of you may be wondering, Cade, this is part 3 of Twin Blocks. Where's part 1 and 2? Well, I'll tell you where part 1 and 2 is. It's unlisted. Many of you don't know this, but I have a Patreon page. The link is below if you want to check it out. There are some subscribers that like to learn more about this industry and about some more inside information, and so I have a Patreon page where I give more information. I can connect more personally with each one. They're willing to pay, $1 a month, $5 a month. So anyway, what I have done is I have put parts 1 and 2 on the Patreon page. So what I do a live recording. So my little setup here can live broadcast like we're doing now, and it can live stream. And y'all can't see me when I'm talking because it was on my hands. so welcome to Wire Wednesday number 25, Twin Blocks part 3. And what I was explaining before, you probably heard the audio, was I am doing live recordings on my Patreon channel for my patrons. And I take those live recordings and my interactions with the patrons, and then I take that and condense it down and edit it down to a YouTube video. So when I record a YouTube video, I do it live for my patrons, and that's where part 1 and 2 is. Part 3, we're doing live today on Wire Wednesday, actually a Thursday, because I missed Wednesday because I had a doctor call during that time that I had to take. So a lot of this is being repetitive and for people who are coming aboard, but so part 1, which is on my Patreon page, don't worry, I'll take all these parts and I'll edit them together for one video covering twin blocks in general. Part 1, we went over twin blocks, how they work, why we use them, why the patient needs them, what the different designs that there are. This is kind of a basic design we're doing. I think it's a good choice, and it's been a while since I've done one of these, and that's why it's taken a while for me to do a video on it. But I have pictures of them, and I'll try to remember to put the link below. It's in the link of the first video on my Patreon page, so if you're Patreon, go check out the Patreon page and you'll find them there. So part 1, we cover twin blocks, what they are, how to use them, not how to use them, but how to build them. And then we prep the models, and then we articulate it. Part 2, I just got done recording, and that's why I'm a little late today getting started on this live stream, is because part 2 is we bent wires, we waxed up to get ready for building our posterior coverage with our 70-degree angle. And then we sprinkled the upper and put it in the pressure pot. So it's out of the pressure pot, nice and warm. I'm ready to break it apart. So today, part 3, live on air. We'll see how this goes. I'm going to, hello, hi, Chawada, Dhruv Chawada, nice to meet you. So today we're going to break this apart. We're going to trim it down, pumice polish, and then we're going to get the lower. I don't know if we'll run out of time or not. Those that want to hang out can, and maybe I'll sprinkle the lower against the upper, which is the one part that makes this a twin blocks. So I will we'll get started. And put my headphones on, check the audio. All right. We get some different angles. Okay. So I'm going to gently pull that apart. So as you can see, I've sprinkled the upper. This is going to be really tall. Now that what we covered in part 1 is the doctor provided the bite, and he got it as thick as he wanted. He put them in a protrusive. Just a quick review. This patient was in class 2. The doctor took a bite and protruded the lower and protrusive. And can you see that? I got to change the camera angle here. Put them in protrusive, the lower and protrusive, and so they're in class 1 now. So we've sprinkled it, and so we mounted it, we articulated it with this in there. So this is as tall as he wants them, the occlusal coverage. You can see how tall that thing is. Now I'm going to peel off this wax here. Let me take this apart. Turn up your volume. That's the worst, Steve, is I record at a good volume, but then for some reason YouTube turns it down on me. Alright, let me turn it up. Alright, here we go. I'm maxed out, but you're going to get a lot of background noise. But hopefully y'all can hear it. So those that are joining, this is part 3 of Twin Blocks. Hey, that came off pretty easily. I'm going to scrape off my waxing here. And so parts 1 and 2 are on my Patreon page. I did a live recording, and that's what this is. Kind of a preview of the live recordings that I do on my Patreon page for my YouTube videos I make. So then I do the live recordings over there, and I post them over here. Or I'll edit them and post them on YouTube. So don't worry if you missed part 1 and 2, if you're not a Patreon supporter. And okay, bye. Come here. Come say hi to everybody. Come say hi. No, you got to come here. You got Bucky? Bucky. All right. You say hi? Hi. You see everybody there? Say hi. Oh, you're hitting them. Yeah, you got little Bucky here.
Baby Bucky.
Yeah, baby Bucky. And who's this?
Daddy Bucky.
Daddy Bucky. Yeah. Ooh. Oh, yeah, now we got to go now. You're going to go on a trip? You're going to go bye-bye?
No.
No? You're going to stay here and watch the camera? No? Okay, say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm back. A little interlude there. Oh, I lost my preview. I'm only using 2 cameras at the moment. My third one is over at the trimmer. So all right, where was I? All right, parts 1 and 2, we got to this point. So part 1, we talked about what a twin block is, what it looks like, the different kinds of designs, and then we went over what this doctor uses for a design, and we bent the wire. In part 2, we bent the wires and waxed it out. So part 1, we talked about the design, we prepped the model, and then we mounted it on an articulator using the wax bite the doctor provided us. And so now this is where we're at. We've bent the wires, we sprinkled the upper. So in case you don't know about twin blocks, you sprinkle, this is how I learned how to do it. You sprinkle the upper first and you trim it, pumice it, polish it all the way. You really dial in your ramps that are right here and get them perfect at the right angle, and that way you can sprinkle the lower against it. So that is where we are at. And exploding cuteness for YouTube. Yeah, I should get some likes for that, right? For the cuteness. Alright, so I have disconnected, taken out the tab, and I'm going to spray this down. I'm trying to get the wax off. I'm going to steam this off, and I'll be right back. Now, Steve, I bet you wish you hadn't had me turn up the volume. Alright, so we're ready to go. I'm going to go bulk trim this and then trim this. Let me get the cameras all set up. While I'm doing that, watch this clip from the last Wire Wednesday that we did, Wire Wednesday number 24, where Steve and I interviewed Scott Simpson, who is a former lab tech turned full-time YouTuber. So while I'm setting up, watch this so you won't be bored watching me set up.
Yeah, now you can see him. So I think I've only gained like 100 subscribers so far today, so it's not as cool as 10,000, but we're still moving forward, so that's good. Moving up.
Yeah. Steve and I have a long way to go, so
we're waiting for that. We're waiting for that rollover.
Yeah.
yeah. They're holding back that 250,000 for you guys.
Yeah, that'll come any day now. I think it'll just tick right on over. And so,
Well,
all right.
Scott, go ahead and tell them what you used to do for a living.
Yeah, so I used to own an ortho lab, and I'd work out of my house, and it was great. I loved the ortho lab, and I worked with one major client. They're a group of orthodontic offices here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Cade knew who they were. They went out of business, or they didn't go out of business. They sold their business to an even larger group last year, and they didn't want to keep me on, which was kind of a blessing in disguise, because that exact same month, YouTube started providing enough income for us to live off of full time. And so here I am, right?
Yeah.
I've been doing YouTube now for almost a year, or YouTube full time for almost a year, and it's been very exciting.
Well, when did you start your family vlog channel? And maybe describe what type of YouTube channel you have, what genre you're in.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we started our family channel. Well, we officially started in 2009, but we didn't really do anything with it until 2014. And then in November of 2014, we started posting family content. To back up a little bit further, my wife and I wrote 2 motivational books in 2010 and 2011. And I used to go around and
Okay, I'm back. I'm set up. We'll continue that later because there's going to be some spots where we're waiting on stuff. So I'll interact with you in the chat and I'll start this video. But I'm ready to start the trim. Okay, I got it all set up here. And I got my green wheel. Watch. Steve Zara has a video on this, I believe. and look up on his channel these acrylic knockdown wheels. Let me turn this off. So I'm just going to bulk trim this. My chair fell over. I wasn't in it. That's a bad angle. Alright, I'm going to do, mainly going to concentrate on the main shape of this. And it's your basic, you know, upper Schwartz with bite blocks or posterior coverage. And so, as you see, I put the index of the lower in here. And I just want to barely see those teeth. Now the back, I've always kind of ramped it. Just it gives them a little room in the back. It's not so bulky. But you definitely want the 6s, the indexes here. Well, and this might be this doctor. Some doctors may want them slick. This doctor wants just slight indentions on the occlusion here so that the patient can kind of lock in and find the bite, because they're going to be looking for that bite. This thing's going to open them up so wide, and they're going to have to slide their jaw forward to lock it in. And of course that will accelerate the growth of the lower jaw and change the occlusion the more they wear this. This doctor has them wear this while they eat, while they sleep, while they breathe, pretty much all the time. And then he'll slowly start grinding this down. In part 2, I talked about keeping this out of the occlusion so you can get some acrylic under the wires, but not too high, because I know the doctor's going to grind this down slowly as they wear this. As their classification bite changes from a class 2 to class 1. Try to make it as comfortable for the patient as possible, but you know, it's kind of hard. There's so much acrylic to this. Alright, I think I got it pretty close to where I like it, so we're going to move into the handpiece section. Trying to get the best angle. All right, I'm here. So right now I'm just going to smooth all the roughness that wheel created. I'm trying to reduce down a little bit so it's not hanging over the edge of the teeth too much. But I also need to check it with the articulator. Man, doing these live streams, it's like I feel like I'm forgetting everything. Alright, so that is what we're looking at. Man, it is really tall. So one thing I want to do, I'm going to take my pencil, my super dull pencil here. I'm actually going to mark it here and here, because I don't want too much of an overhang. So when I get done with the lower, I want to be able to rub my finger across here between this joint and it not catch, meaning hopefully it will not pinch their cheek when they chew with this thing. So I'm going to tuck this in just a little bit at a different angle. Okay, notice I've left the ramps alone, what I call the ramps. And I want to clean up this back area because I think they're just going to chew pretty hard on that. The other side looks good. Again, I like to ramp the back, and the reason is when they go to bite, you know, there's jaws, and there's this lower jaw's coming up this way. So let me hold it up this way. So the lower jaw's coming up this way, so you want to make sure it's pretty smooth and pretty smooth back here. You can see that angle that it's coming up right here. So I'm trying to clear that. I can probably do a little bit more. Wouldn't hurt. Okay. So now I'm going to continue this line on here. That's my 70 degrees. I want to keep that 70. Sorry, I'm checking the chat. Alright. So I'm going to just connect these two lines. That's the angle I want to go at. I'll take this off, and I have this cool little barrel burr. I think that works the best. This one's a little dull, but I think it should work. So I'm going to create this ramp now. It's all about the angle. And hopefully you've sprinkled it. In part 2 I talk about this, that you've got a good corner here. It looks like I may have missed my corner, but we'll see how it turns out. Now these are always slightly turned in. That's just the natural. See, it's not perfectly flat. They're just slightly turned in. Now, if anybody's got any helpful tips or hints or anything, let me know. Leave them in the comments. I'd love to learn how to do these better. Everybody's come up with their own systems. Alright, so I got this, what the start of the ramps are. So I've got that right in line. That side too. I'm looking down the middle. Now, one thing I like to look for is I don't want it to be too bulky on the inside. No, the lighting's not good, but in this area, in this area. So usually I could probably draw a pencil again. So that means I can slim that down to that line. And those teeth are still in occlusion. Those upper teeth are still in occlusion. And I still use this barrel burr. And that E-cutter that Steve Zara talks about, I still got to order that. But that's got a good flat side you can use too, and it cuts way faster than this. Steve, I don't know if you're able to put links in the chat or not, if you want to link to your E-cutters. It was one of your first videos, I believe. I know cleaning them was. Alright, so it looks like I don't need to add to that corner, because it's going to round off like that anyway. So let's see what this looks like on the mouth. Still feel like I need to tuck this in just a tad. Right here, there's a nice ledge. That should make it more comfortable for the patient. There we go. Do a little bit here too. Now, what I was saying before, you know, take your time, because this is gonna set the standard for the lower. All right. So I'm gonna sprinkle the lower, and in parts 1 and 2, I explained this doctor likes to cap his lower anterior, and there are 4 clasps there. All right. So I want to clean up this border here. So I'm going to use my, let's see, stainless steel bristle brushes. This will be good for cleaning up this border. Make it nice and flat. Exposing those, I need to expose those clasps so the doctor can adjust them. So these are finger clasps. In part 2, I talk about why this doctor likes the finger clasp. But this isn't mandatory on twin blocks. I've seen them with Adams clasp, ball clasp, you name it, delta clasp, arrow clasp. In fact, the pictures that I talked about earlier in this video, I think I have an Adams clasp and arrows clasp. So and it was the same doctor I made it for. So he's changed his style somewhat. So now I know he can get in there with a pair of small pliers and activate those. And I like this line. Let's see if I can accentuate it. Oh, yeah, I need to. So you can see why he asked for an expander right here, because he needs to expand the upper past the lower. You see the upper teeth are inside the lower teeth when it protrudes. When it goes into protrusion, and I wish I could take this off easy, so I can actually tuck this in some more now that I've cleared that off. I can bring this acrylic closer to the buccal surfaces of the teeth, and because as they expand, this will push out further than the lower will. Bad thing about those stainless steel bristle brushes are those little bristles get stuck in your finger. They're annoying. Hello, AEGG? Egg? Now let me know if you have any questions. I'll try to answer. I know this is kind of boring. Again, I'm doing a live stream. A live recording, and I'm going to, this is part 3, probably be upwards of 5 parts to this, depending on how long my batteries last. I might have to stop and recharge and then start back up again. But I'll edit this down and release a full video to YouTube of the full process of producing a twin blocks. There we go. Yep, that's going to be more comfortable. Make sure this is smooth. I got a little edge there, but with sandpaper will take it off. So I'm going to sandpaper this now and smooth it up, get it ready for pumicing. Now, you gotta be careful with the occlusion. You don't want to take out those indexes of the lower teeth. And I'm trying to get it down to just the points. Maybe you can see it if I color them in. This is also a good trick to use when you're doing splints, if the doctor wants. In fact, I just talked to a doctor today about him wanting a splint with slight indexes of the teeth. Some want a flat plane. This doctor wants, for this twin block, just slight indexes, so the kid can kind of lock in and know that's the position of his lower jaw. So I've got my angle here. And here. It's smooth. Yeah, there we go. Some sharp edges. Pumicing will take care of the sharp edges too. Now, I'm not going to cut this yet until after I sprinkle the lower, because I don't want to cut it and then the lower acrylic, when I'm sprinkling it, gets into there and I just got to recut it anyway. So there we go. I'm going to reduce this a little bit. If you'll notice, here's the distal of the 6 right there. And I have this line already to the distal of the 6. So I'm going to match it to the other side. Get my barrel burr back on my handpiece here. And you can kind of, try to figure out if these are... Notice I use a pencil a lot, so it's pretty handy to have a pencil. So you can see, yeah, those are about even. I don't know when this kid's canines are coming in, but I'm going to leave a little bit of an opening for those. Looks like he recently lost them. There we go. So they may start, especially during expansion, it may start coming down, those canines. You can see he just lost his C's, so I made a little opening right here and here. Alright, so this I think is good to go, ready for pumice and polish. Let me get set up for pumice and polish. Y'all have all seen that before, probably. Alright, I'm going to pumice and polish real quick. Those that are still with me, hanging in there, hang with me for a little bit. I don't want to set up the cameras for the pumice and polish. That's about it. It's like pumicing something normal, with part of it being a splint. So you don't want to take off too much of the top. You don't want to take off too much of the ramps. But you want the ramps to be smooth, so that when you sprinkle the acrylic against those ramps, your new acrylic is smooth like the ramps are. So I'll show that at the end. Let me switch over to my video here. So again, this is Wire Wednesday number 24. This is our interview with a ortho lab tech turned full-time YouTuber. Very interesting interview that Steve Zara and I did together. This is Scott Simpson with Scott and Camber. So if you want some good, wholesome family vlog videos, subscribe to his channel, because he does very interesting videos almost on a daily basis. So let me play that. I'll go pumice and polish this, and I'll be right back.
I wanted to, my son was born, and it made it a little bit more difficult to travel. So I wanted to find a way to inspire people from home, and have the same reach. And so we started posting motivational content on YouTube, and then very quickly after that, doing a full-time job, as you all know, Steve especially right now, having a lab full-time is and trying to do motivational speeches and traveling, and even posting, uploading content is very difficult to do when you're when you're trying to run a busy lab. And so we just decided I'm not going to write motivational content to post on YouTube, but we're just going to show our family because it's very easy to just pick up your camera, show what's going on, edit, chop it up nicely, and then post it. It was a lot easier than writing and scripting and memorizing scripts for motivational content. So anyway, so here we are 4 years later, still doing family content, and we do a variety of different types of content, and it's been very rewarding and very fun and fulfills the creative side for me. And yeah, so it's been good.
Well, Scott, I think that's where, being an orthodontic technician, I think that's where I see when I watch your videos, I can see the creativity part. And I think that's where our minds kind of think the same. Kate's kind of
Yeah.
the same way where you're always like creating in orthodontics. You're always making new things. You're always thinking outside of the box. I see that in your videos. Like when I'm watching your family channel, it's amazing to see your progress. For instance, I was watching your very first video today. I checked it out.
Oh, no.
And I'll remind you what it was. You were shaving and you had something in your face and you're like just being this goofball. But I was watching like how you made a career, how you're making a career out of this. And I can just see the creativity. I can just see like how you've taken being an orthodontic technician, all the background, and then turn it into a career on YouTube, which is crazy to think about, but it's working. And God bless you. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been a really cool journey to get here, but it hasn't been without lots of struggle too. So as we all know, YouTube's ups and downs can be frustrating at points.
I think the stress of not a consistent paycheck has got to be different for you, like being a YouTuber.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, YouTube is it's like orthodontics, right? It's in the lab we would get extremely busy over, July and August would be the best months of the year. And YouTube, it's November, December are the best months of the year. So it just kind of changes. Yeah, because you have what happens is that all the advertisers come in, they dump a whole lot of money into influencing into YouTube during Christmas, the holiday months.
Right.
And so CPMs are through the roof, and it's really it's pretty awesome. But if you don't save come January when it's 10% of what December was, then it can hurt.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't even think that YouTube would have season, but that makes total sense. Yeah, that was really interesting. So your transition from, it was an easy decision to go, when that big company released your position, it was an easy decision to go, hey, it worked out that YouTube income could replace it.
Yeah, so they let me go. They let me go right before Thanksgiving of last year, and so we were right in the middle of the whole the awesome advertiser push for the fall, and so it was really a seamless transition. I mean I don't think that I saw any negative impact on my income. At least until it was probably January, February, when you get into the slow months on YouTube that you're like, oh, okay, what am I going to do now? But you just plan and prepare, and we were just fine. So made it to summer, and then summer's another big time of the year, and then yeah. So then you just got to plan and prepare for the lulls and the highs and the lows on YouTube.
Well, I think that's a lot like orthodontics. You just explained that. We have highs and lows too. You just kind of have to really watch your dollars in certain months.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
That it's kind of going on that for someone, and Steve had a question. Let's see if I have this. Your thoughts on how you would go about starting a dental channel from scratch, knowing what you know now about YouTube. Like if somebody out there is watching this and they want to do their own, maybe it doesn't. Steve, do you mean just dental or any kind of niche channel?
Well, I was thinking more of a dental just because we're in that field, but anyone can start a YouTube channel, a family vlog like yourself, Scott. what suggestions would you give to someone who's starting off today? Because I always said, or my thought is, you need to start. YouTube works, it just keeps growing on each other. You know, it keeps growing. It's like a downhill spiral, but you need to get started. So what advice would you give to someone who's like thinking about like, hey, I want to build my business up and maybe make YouTube videos? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, so obviously, as you guys know, YouTube does not work very well for local businesses, right? You've got to have a business that has a reach outside of your local market. Otherwise, you're going to spin your wheels trying to build up a massive channel where you're getting, say you get 400,000 views in a month. Well, only a fraction of those people are going to be local. So it's YouTube works best for individuals who are wanting to have a reach outside of the local market. Um, the, as far as like starting a YouTube channel, I think that the most important thing is to obviously have one niche. And sometimes that hurts us as a family channel on YouTube because we do a variety of different content. It's all falls under the umbrella of family channel, but it's we'll do music videos and we'll play games and so there's so many different aspects of our channel, so much variety that I think the algorithm sometimes has a hard time finding out where to place us or where to categorize us. And so for somebody who's just new getting onto YouTube, I'd say make sure you have a niche, and even to go a little bit further and say make sure you have a specialty, something that you really focus on, that you feel like you do better than other people. And so like Steve, you do a lot of herps. I would I'd focus on herps a little bit, and because you do a good job at it, you do more than any other orthotech I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
And and so that's like your specialty. And so I think that specializing is something that's important. And then really, I really feel like anybody has the ability to be a YouTuber. I don't think that it takes a special kind of person. I think that it takes patience and persistence, and then also a willingness to improve. Because if you come, everybody's first video is always horrendous, but if video 100 is exactly the same as video 1, then you're probably not going to be successful. But if you're willing to take time to watch people who are successful and people who train YouTubers how to be successful and learn from them, and then upgrade your equipment, work on your delivery, things like that, then going from 1 to 100, there'll be a stark difference, and you'll start to have built a loyal following. So, yeah, go ahead.
That's what I just said. I saw your first video, and you guys were discussing you and Camber were talking about your cameras that you were shooting with. You're using your phones. She had an S4, which is kind of funny to go back in time to see the quality of just the phones have improved over the last 3 years. But it's like for Kate and I,
Okay, I'm back. Speaking of phones, mine are running out of battery. I'm going to end this real soon. I want to thank y'all for hanging out with me. But let me show you the end product. This is, see if I can find, okay, so this is I've pumiceed it, I've polished it, it is ready to go. You can see my angles. I am on the wrong camera angle. Do this one. Alright, so you can see I've kept my 70-degree angle, both sides. I have made the ramps smooth. It's ready for acrylic now. I don't know if you can see this, but it got a really cool effect where you can see my layers that I sprinkled. I don't know. I hope it comes out in the film. but you can actually see little small layers of each of the layers that I made. And see if that comes out better. Yeah, you can kind of see them there. Little tiny layers. It's because I had to build this up so high that it had a hard time keeping up. So I have smoothed this where there's just slight indentions. This is just like the doctor wants. So when the kid slides their jaw forward, it will kind of slightly lock in, and they can find the position of where the doctor wants to put their jaw. So now my next step is to bend the lower wires. I'm going to let me show this real quick. There are different ways of, the next step's tricky because you're going to bend the wires and you're going to build the acrylic against your ramps you just pumice and polish. And that's one of the reasons you pumice and polish, is so that you can separate this, because acrylic will stick to acrylic. So there's a couple methods I've used before. I've used Vaseline, and I've just coated this whole thing with Vaseline and then, you know, put it together. It's a little iffy. Another method is this method, and I'm going to show it real quick. It's called, you're just going to paint a small layer of wax. And you got to put it everywhere that the acrylic is going to come in contact with. And it's got to be super, super thin. So don't forget to seal this down right here, so acrylic doesn't get up underneath the teeth. And hopefully you won't be working with really runny acrylic. So whenever you sprinkle the lower and you put it together, you got a slight layer of acrylic in between your two acrylics. And the bad thing is it's going to create a slight space, but if you keep it even, when the kid puts it in their mouth, it probably won't make that big of a difference if you keep it thin. This thing keeps falling out. So, let's see if I can get a better view here. So, as you can see, there's a thin layer of acrylic, wax here to keep the acrylic separated. So that is the main thing. I'm going to steam this off, and I actually have some acrylic to acrylic separator, and I will talk about that in the next video, and where to buy it from. It does a wonderful job. I've used it before. It takes about 2 or 3 coats of this, so there's a lot of prep time in the next video, so I'm going to end this live stream here. Thank you for all the ones that hung out with me to do this. Try thin aluminum foil. Yes, Steve, good idea. Aluminum foil. This is silicone-based separator, so it's different. So yeah, you could try a thin coat of aluminum foil. No, not actual aluminum foil, right, Steve? Yeah, you could use actual aluminum foil. That's a great idea, and just lay it in there, and they won't stick together. In fact, Scott Simpson, he makes retainers, and like he makes some fun ones where there's like a unicorn coming off, just fun, and he uses tinfoil to lay out and build a pond of tinfoil, so it won't stick. So I'm going to show this off next time. I don't know if I'll go live stream on this. I've got to recharge all my batteries. All my cameras are dying on me. I've done 2 of these back to back. So stay tuned. I'll have this video released soon, and maybe some small excerpts things, and maybe I'll try the thin aluminum foil in a future video. But anyway, I'm going to sign off, charge all my phones, get something to drink, and I'm going to be right back at it. So if you're a patron, check your patron feed for part 4, where we sprinkle the lower to this. And those who aren't patrons, just hang out for a couple weeks, and I'll edit all these together in one big video and release it, so you won't miss anything. It's just if you're a patron, you get first dibs, and you get to talk to me while I'm doing it. So until then, I'll see y'all later. Thanks again, and happy bending.